I'm Ashley Wagasback, feeding therapist, occupational therapist, and lactation consultant. Look forward to discussing all things feeding so that we can support you to bring your little one to their maximum potential so that feeding can be enjoyable for the entire family.
Are you looking for a community of other moms joining together to support their little one through the ups and downs of feeding and gross motor milestones? The Thriving Together community is just for you. Find us on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and www.sensorysolutionsTherapy.com to learn more. We look forward to seeing you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Feeding Solutions podcast. Today, my guest is Kate Pope. She's a mom, holistic chef, and she's a nutritional therapy practitioner and certified in GAPS. And that's awesome for me to connect with you because in my years as an occupational therapist, I'm familiar with the GAPS program. And so I'm excited to bring it to like a younger audience. But through her cooking and nutrition courses, she educates families and communicates the importance of local food systems, cooking meals at home for physical, mental, and emotional health. And from 2016 to 2021, Kate worked as a private chef in Seattle, Washington, and the Big Island of Hawaii. How exciting. She founded Regenerative Cooking School in 2019, and she's able to support parents and families through her message of advocating gut health and real food for children. Kate helps babies and moms start solids the gut healthy way, and she teaches moms how to use food as medicine to reverse symptoms like eczema, allergies, and digestive issues. And she has some signature courses, the Mama Baby Biome and Baby Biome First Food Plans, which is exciting. And she and her husband Alex have self-published 3 cookbooks, Cooking an Act of Love, Every Meal Healing, and a Guide to Regenerative Thanksgiving. How wonderful. That sounds exciting. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. This is great because, again, like in my world, supporting moms and babies who are struggling with feeding in the very early days, although we're getting babies moving, we also want to make sure that we're supporting them like through those first months when they're introducing solids and doing it in a way that's obviously going to be the best for their health. As their little bodies grow. So tell me a little bit about like the moment, the experience where you were like, this is what I need to be doing, supporting moms and babies with nutrition.
Great start. Yeah, I pretty much felt this way before having children. So I
Mm,
always knew that I was going to help mothers and babies and families. And I worked as a nanny, actually started a babysitting business in 7th grade. And, I
love
worked
it.
with a lot of families. I made these magnets and I would have them, put them on the fridge so other moms could see my magnets. And I've always been an entrepreneur and always
Uh-huh.
loved moms and babies. So I was working as a nanny in Seattle, Washington, and I actually noticed that the children's poops
Mm,
were white, gray. It was off. And I was like, this is not right. And they also ate snacks like all the time. And I was like, this is not right. And I remember
mm,
calling my mom and telling her, Mom, I know what I want to do. I want to be a food consultant and I want to help families understand what's truly healthy so that children can thrive. And that's what I was calling it. This was before I went to nutrition school, before I became a private chef. I actually was a dancer. First, I went to dance school for dance, and I did work a lot with children in that capacity as well. I worked in elementary schools. I worked in juvenile justice. So I worked and I also worked in women's prisons. So I was always
wow.
using like community to heal, movement to heal, and it just shifted
Mm,
very seamlessly, really, with my own health journey, where I learned to, shop local from the farmers market, buy different kinds of meats and heal my own chronic symptoms, adrenal fatigue, immune overreactivity. That's really where my passion lit on fire for what food could do for us, just for your life, for your vitality.
hmm
I chase the good life. I can say that I'm gracefully sitting in it right now because my life revolves around, my well-being and my children's
Mm.
well-being, and that really makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. So you said, like in your own health journey, and so you have experience like as a mom and as an adult seeing a change in your own health. So like what's one thing you see like in a mom's average diet today that you're like, if we could change this one thing, support you in a specific way, what would be the thing that you're seeing that would be helpful?
I think first and foremost, moms need to eat more in quantity. I think that's a huge
Hmm.
thing. Like women undereat in general.
Hmm.
And when we not only do you need to eat more, but you need to eat more of the right things. So
Yeah.
probably I would prioritize, like right away, I would prioritize proteins and fats, helping moms get adequate amounts of protein and adequate amounts of healthy fat, especially in the childbearing continuum. We gift our nutrition to our children. Like when we have a baby, that's a part of the biological design is we offload a bunch of nutrient stores. And so we can get through a birth and survive it, right? And feel kind of really bad and not recognize ourselves. Or we can have a baby and replete ourselves with nutrition because throughout the postpartum and even in the pregnancy, we're eating adequate nutrition, right? And so when we do that, we can actually leave the postpartum feeling quite amazing and replenished and
Hmm.
vital, which is what our children need.
Well, and I think that that is the reality for a lot of moms that, I was having this conversation with two moms yesterday about just because we were talking about their own milk supply, and one was an oversupply, one was an undersupply, but how they were like, I forget to eat. Like, I am dealing with this fussy baby. We're having to do triple feedings right now. It's all the things around supporting the baby. And then it's like a whole 6 hours goes by, and I'm like, oh goodness, I haven't eaten anything. So I think that that's so vital, and being
Yeah.
able to find the right things.
Well, and they're really speaking to a cultural problem because we actually don't have a society that supports mothers. Even think
Mm,
about like the baby shower, it should be the mother shower, right? Like it
so
shouldn't be all new
true.
clothes for the baby and all this stuff. I mean, a couple stuff, whatever, that's fine. But it should be
Yeah,
centered around the mother and her nourishment and
so
resourcing for
true.
her to feel good all throughout. Because guess what? Only thing that baby needs is mother.
Hmm.
And if mother
Hmm.
doesn't feel like herself, she doesn't feel healthy, she feels exhausted, depleted, she maybe has
Hmm.
depression or anxiety
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
what's the life change.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
need to resource mothers. That is the most important thing. And so when I hear mom say I go 6 hours without eating, it's like, man, really would be great if we had partners, grandmas, neighbors coming over,
Hmm.
bringing food, making sure mom has a pot of soup on the stove, something so simple, right? And so what I do to
Yes.
bridge the gaps is education around for parents and families around what they need to do to prepare, but also just helping moms make it more seamless. Like what is so simple that they can do the night before after baby goes down, throw a pot roast in the oven, in the crock pot, something like that, so that they just can eat on this soup all day long. I
Very true.
also rely a lot on eggs because they're a really great protein source, super easy to make, and your food doesn't have to be very exciting, but it just should be right there,
Hmm.
ready and hot for you. That would be like the best thing. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, we can get into that allergen piece too a little bit later if people are like, but
Hmm.
I can't do eggs, because
Yeah.
I help a
Yeah.
lot of moms with that too.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, so switching over to like the baby toddler size, a mom's like, yeah, my baby is eating enough, but like what is the right enough? Like what's some signs that you're like, okay, something's amiss?
In terms of symptoms for a baby.
Yeah, like just like the mom's like, yes, the baby's eating enough food, but there are still some nutritional gaps that we might be seeing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, that can show up in a lot of ways. So it
Mm-hmm.
can show up in the stools. That's a lot of times what parents are coming to
Yeah.
me. Mucus in stools,
Yeah.
constipation or runny stools, all of those are signs that you
Mm-hmm.
would want to work on gut health. So that's kind of obvious. Gas and constipation, reflux, right?
Yeah.
Those are
Mm-hmm.
actually covering the digestive system. But what's so interesting, because the gut health is connected to every part of the body, there actually can be symptoms. There can be no digestive symptoms and symptoms in other places in the body, like the skin or the
Mm-hmm.
mood, and it can still be connected to the gut. And this is because we have a microbiome. And we co-evolved with trillions of microbes, and we need those to work with us, for us, not against
Mm-hmm.
us. And we have, in terms of our microbiome, we have 10 times as many microbial cells as we do human cells in the body. And so, what that means is that these microbes can have a very powerful effect on the health of the whole body. And so, anytime a mom comes to me with any symptoms at all, we start in the gut because that's where we digest and absorb our nutrition. So, we need that to be working optimally in order for the other organs like the liver, the brain, the skin to be healthy. We need nutrition. And then we also need the microbes to help us with our immune system. We need them to help the body clean up and detoxify anything, which is very common in our modern world. We need the
Mm-hmm.
microbes to have a healthy and calm brain. And so I'm always starting with the gut health. And there are really simple foods that will help your baby's gut health. And that's exactly what I teach moms to feed their babies.
I love that. Okay, so you mentioned reflux, gas, food aversions. So, like, what are some nutritional supports that baby can be missing, could benefit from that would help with those symptoms?
Totally. Okay, so I start with a very gentle soup and it's called meat stock. So you might have heard about bone broth, and
Yes.
bone broth is similar to meat stock, but they're actually very different in the process. So bone broth is
Okay.
cooked for 72 hours, 48 hours, something like that. When it comes to meat stock, we only cook it for 1 to 2 hours when it comes to chicken, 4 to 6 when it comes to beef, 3 to 5 when it comes to lamb. So the shortest amount of time that you can to get a gelatinous stock. And this gelatinous stock is what closes the holes of leaky gut. And
Mm.
leaky gut is really an interesting term. It's like the layman's term for a permeated gut membrane. And when it comes to our gut, we have one cell thick that keeps the holes closed. And we have these things called
Wow.
tight junctions, and we have a lot of microbes there. So it's only one cell wall thick. So that means it can be perforated pretty easily.
Yeah.
Now, in order to close the holes of leaky gut, we want to rebuild the gut lining. And so we use collagen-rich soups, which you have to make at home to heal and seal the gut. They're very gentle, they're very soothing. Think about like the old adage, chicken soup for the soul. We all go towards
Mm.
chicken soup when we're not feeling good. And anytime we're addressing a chronic symptom, we can also look towards the things that we do when we're acutely ill, because typically those are the things that we need as well:
Mhm.
rest, warmth, healing foods. And so meat stock is where we begin. That's actually the first
Okay.
food that I recommend babies start when they are having solids. And then we move on to more microbiome building foods, something like a fermented vegetable brine. We add in the collagen bits itself, the meat that we puree to thicken it up. Then we go to the organ meats, the animal fats, and all of that together really creates this synergistic meal that allows your baby's body to start to heal. And so, depending on what the symptoms are, we're going to target different foods, but generally everybody starts with the same, and then you just change the ratios as to, what your baby really shows you what they like. And through
Hmm.
that, you keep on going and learn what your baby needs. It's really amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so regarding what your baby needs. So like I was talking to my mom this week. Her 10-month-old seems really aggressive and moody and like would just whack her in the face for no reason. And we were talking about like how often is your baby pooping, and like it's not happening daily. And so we were talking
Right.
about things that she can, so like what are some nutritional deficiencies that might go under the radar for parents that would affect their toddler's mood?
Totally. Okay, so first thing that comes to mind when I think about unsettled children is magnesium. So
Mm-hmm.
magnesium is something that it has over 500 jobs in the body. We need it and it gets depleted quickly, especially if there's a chronic infection or a chronic symptom going on, or there's really sugar intake from the mom's diet or the child's diet. So magnesium gets depleted. So I would be putting that child in a magnesium bath every single day.
Okay.
because they are so beneficial. And this is just like Dead Sea salt flakes or Epsom salt that you
Mm-hmm.
can get from the store.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in a filtered water bath. So you want to get the chlorine out of your water.
Okay.
And you
Mm.
can do that by getting one of those dechlorinator balls that will just sit on the end of the faucet, or
Okay.
bigger systems as well. But this is really important. Okay, so that's one thing I would do because also baths are really calming and this magnesium makes a huge difference. In terms of nutrition overall, I would remove anything that I call yeast feeders. So, yeast is something that shows up when we have antibiotics, when we have too much stress, too much sugar. You can inherit a yeasty microbiome from your mother. Yeast symptoms like thrush, like crankiness, whininess, weepiness. It can show up as pink veins in the cheek. It can show up as a coated tongue. It can show up as constipation. It's really ubiquitous. It's very common.
Mm-hmm.
And for parents, this is something that I focus on really potently because it can make such a big difference to balance yeast in the body. Now, I want to be clear because a lot of people hear yeast and they think, oh, candida cleanse, I have to get these
Yes.
bad microbes out.
Right.
But my
Right.
approach is really different. I don't attack microbes because I just really don't want to have this good bad mentality.
I
I
love
don't
that.
promote the use of antibiotics. They're
Mm-hmm.
life-saving tools, but in general, we want to approach
Right.
it in a way that's not going to set your baby's microbiome back. And so when it comes
Mm.
to balancing yeast, we need to not feed the yeast feeder. So that would be starch, sugar,
Mm-hmm.
coffee through breast milk, chocolate, those kinds of things are yeast feeders. And
Hmm.
we want to drown out the yeast with healthy animal fats. Meat stock is a wonderful yeast killer. And we slowly introduce fermented foods in a way that is titrated. So we never want to go
Okay.
too much too fast with any healing food because they are powerful. There's no need to
Okay.
fear it, but just understand that we're going to change the landscape here, which means your child's going to have some responses that you want to learn how to manage and support, which brings us right back to the magnesium baths. It's very calming. It's
Mm-hmm.
very replenishing. It's very, very changing for children to have the amount of magnesium that they actually need. So, on top of that, I would add, I think all the things probably you do, tight squeezes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and plenty of outside time, those kinds of things as
Mm.
well. And so, I guess just one more thing would be increasing protein, increasing animal fats, making sure they're getting it through the meat stock, they're eating plenty of meats, healthy vegetables, and slowly adding in the ferments.
And meat stock is something that can just stay part of a good, healthy diet.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just like a first food or right when you're starting to transition to solids.
It's the foundation of everything. So I teach meat stock for everyone, for all ages. I make it for my elderly grandparents. I make it for my
Mm.
parents. We eat meat stock every single day. My children are raised on meat stock. They have meat stock lattes, which is yolks, meat stock, and ghee, like with the little blender. So it's frothy. They love it. And it is something that we have every single day. So, yes, you start slow with meat stock because, like I said, it can be very changing to the microbiome and very healing. But then you just work up to like unlimited amounts of it and you think of it like your little companion, just waking up
Right.
today having meat stock. It's so wonderful. It is. I love it. I look forward to it. I'm not sick of it.
Mhm.
I eat it in the summer, I eat it in the winter. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. So, I mean, I think we know that allopathic medicine does not put a whole lot of weight into nutrition.
Right.
And so, because of that, like, what do you think the detriment for mom and baby at those critical times when they're growing a baby and then when they're breastfeeding and then as baby's transitioning, like, what do you think the detriment of that is? That,
I mean, I think it really is robbing us of our peace and
Mhm,
of our
mhm,
connection with our children. Like motherhood, it should be fun. It should be amazing. It should
mhm,
be like astoundingly beautiful. And it's going to be difficult, right? Because it's a becoming. You're changing, you're transforming into something else. But
mhm,
um, it shouldn't be like pitiful or just, just so sad, right? That's not the way it should be. And I think because we're missing those cultural points that I was talking about in the beginning, where
yes,
we really are centering the mother, I think that's like a huge piece. And the other piece is like people are like malnourished, strung out, have anxiety all the time. They don't know what to do, and their kids are bouncing off the walls or really uncomfortable or having weeping eczema, and it's truly sad. And so they're
Hmm.
at a loss. Like, what do I do? And that's where we just got to take those baby steps every single day and bring it back, and you'll start to see your child heal, and you can actually reclaim your vitality. That's really, and your confidence. That is
Hmm.
what I really see with moms. Like, they get the education from me, they understand it, and then they just need that confidence and that assurance that like they're doing the right thing and their baby will heal and they can have the freedom that comes with health. That is what I wish for every mother.
Absolutely. Well, and to know that they can do something at home, not only to be proactive, but then when they do start to see signs of maybe illness or whatever they might suspect their baby's getting sick, that they can start implementing. They don't have to just be at the mercy of like, oh, I have to run to the pediatrician, like,
Right. Exactly. It's all about taking our power back. And if you look at the history of pediatrics, it was kind of a laughable career initially because they
hmm
were like, that's a job for mothers and women. Like, what are you talking about? Children aren't sick. You know, this was
hmm
in the 1900s, and it's obviously really changed. More interventions, more toxins, more medicalized birth, more antibiotics in pregnancy, more birth control. All of these things compound because what a lot of people don't understand when they're healing their child is they're not just healing one generation, they're healing multiple generations. We have inherited these deficiencies, we have inherited the degraded microbiome. And that's why it's challenging. That's why it's like, this feels humongous to me. This is like such a heavy lift. But the other side of that, where you have so much self assurance, you have that power, you have that strength, and you can look at your child and say, I healed them with my own hands. It's like, oh my gosh. And you've now set up future generations to not have the same struggles. And that is the profound work that mothers are designed to do.
Absolutely. And not to plug or anything, but in my book that I just finished that came out in October, that was one of the sections at the end where it is generationally impacting you and how, like, if you're struggling and not having self-worth, um, as you're feeding your baby in those early week days, that literally can have an impact on how everything goes forward, like how your future babies and how your children's children feed their babies. And it literally does. It seems ridiculous that you would be thinking generationally, but it does.
Yeah, well, and it's so important because then it comes to the question of like blame or fault and all of that. And it's really not
Uh-huh.
about it being
No,
our
agree.
fault. It's about making connections and understanding because a lot of the pain, like I have had true pain, of course, in motherhood. And I think it often has to do with myself as a little girl at the same time. And so I'm
Hmm.
able, if I can bring some consciousness to the moment, if I can step back and take a breath, give myself some grace and also nourish myself, then I am actually giving my children this gift of like honesty, vulnerability,
Yes,
work. They're seeing that it's an
absolutely.
imprint. And to think that we're separate from our children and our children's problems are not our own is really
Yeah,
missing the picture. And
yeah,
again, it's not like blaming or
right.
self-sabotage. It's just like, oh, right, that's me. Okay. And then I can address it. And then my children will
Absolutely.
mirror my change internally. It's beautiful. It's actually so inspiring, I think.
Yes, yes. And one of the things, again, like this whole platform of this podcast and what you're speaking into as far as like empowering moms, I meet moms every single day who are depleted, exhausted, don't feel like they're enough, they don't have the tools, they can't do this. So, I mean, just going back to something simple as like what they are feeding their bodies is going to help them restore and their mental health, the way that they feel. Like we already talked about the mom a little bit, like not eating, but what's something simple, like a few things that she can do right now today that she can implement that's going to help all of that, like help her not feel so depleted and exhausted.
Yeah. Okay, steak, red meat is like so good. You got to have red meat. You got to eat that every day. Lamb, steak, beef. You need to eat that every day. You need
Mm-hmm.
to eat meat at every meal. That is a non-negotiable. I know people think you don't have to, but you do. And this is where you're going to get those nutrients because when we talk about protein, everybody thinks like, oh yeah, protein's a macronutrient that we obviously need. But what is not talked about is that within protein is the micronutrients that we need. So when we give birth, like I said, we gift our nutrient stores to our children. And in order to, we have a baseline of nutrients that we need to like be in survival mode, but we need additional nutrients in order to feel good in our brain. So we need B vitamins in excess. We need fat soluble vitamins in excess because we're nursing our children. We gave birth, we gave them away, right? We need selenium, zinc, we need vitamin A. We need nutrients in order to create the hormones that make us feel good. But what we also need is a healthy microbiome. So moms can start sipping little bits of fermented vegetable brine, like a sauerkraut brine. Ideally, you can make it yourself, but if not, buy one in glass in the refrigerated section and start sipping on that. It's a great electrolyte. It's great for your microbiome, and your microbiome and your brain are connected. So there's a highway that microbes, nutrients, chemicals travel on, and that is your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve, you know it probably from your nervous system. And so when you have a healthy gut microbiome, you're sending healthy signals, healthy hormones, neurotransmitters to your brain. And that is needed in order for you to feel good. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, they're all made in the gut. These are hormones and neurotransmitters that are essential for feeling calm, motivated, excited, joyful. And without a healthy gut, we can't do that. So if you're lacking in energy, you have fatigue, you have anxiety, you have depression, you need to eat meat. You need to eat a lot of it. You need to start sipping on brines, and you need to cut out the sugar, the coffee, if that thing that you're reaching for when you're so exhausted, the piece of toast, right? Like all that is just short fuel that's not benefiting you long term. You need long burning fuel, which is fats, and you need protein, which hits our body very differently. It still uses insulin in order to break it down. Protein breaks down with into glucose, but it hits insulin way differently. And so you're not on that blood sugar roller coaster with spikes and crashes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like you just talked about like the gut brain connection. And I feel like that we're again, in a world where we segment, like it doesn't connect. So just like, again, like from even like their own baby, how's that gut brain connection like helping? And
Yeah, so the same thing. Your baby makes neurotransmitters in their gut. A calm baby comes from a baby who has a balanced gut. A calm, curious, playful baby can make their neurotransmitters, right? And they're even from a breastfed baby. They're getting those nutrients from mama's milk, and they're able to digest it and create their own neurotransmitters. That is what happens. And so when we see a lot of neuroinflammation, or we see inflammation in the immune system, immune reactivity, or we see digestive upset, what we know is happening is that there is that two-way communication from the gut and the brain, and something is off, whether that is pathogenic microbes overgrown, very common, whether that is low-grade chronic inflammation, also very common. That is inflaming the brain. That is making low-grade discomfort in the body and the skin. It's related to sensory issues because they have this kind of low or even high intensity level of stress going on in their body. And so that makes touch and sounds even more intense. When we bring down the inflammation in the body, when we balance the microbes, the neurotransmitters are created, the hormones are balanced, and we don't see those sensory issues. I see them disappear. I mean, a lot of times parents come to me and they're like, but my picky eater, it's because of sensory issues. And I'm like, your sensory issues are because of your gut microbiome. So we're working with
yes.
the same solution here. It's just going to take the time that it takes, and every body is different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what's something that you wish that moms knew as far as food, nutrition, healing that could change her here and now? Realizing like maybe if she feels like she's struggling in the postpartum stage, that maybe she doesn't need an antidepressant. Maybe
Right.
she does, but like what could she do from a nutrition standpoint?
So I would say the main thing I would want moms to know is that healing can happen really fast, actually. And you're going to
Yes.
feel a difference in 3 days. Like if you
Oh, I love
do eat how I eat and how I teach moms to eat, you are going to feel a difference in 3 days, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And then there's going to be layers that come off, right? Because healing doesn't happen all at once. It really is a journey. It's a little cliche, but it
that.
truly is something to like come more in tune with your body, and to listen to yourself, and to understand a small education for a mom about how the body digests nutrients and what foods are best for the human physiology works wonders, because then they understand like, oh, I can't digest that. I'm not digesting that. Oh, I need more stomach acid. I have my blood sugar is dysregulated. So that's why I feel anxious and I grab the muffin because I'm starving and I feel like I need something. I need an upper, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
can have steady, calm, regulated blood sugar. You can make your neurotransmitters in your gut and feel really, really good. And yeah, so that's what I would really want moms to know, that it can actually happen fast. And then you just have opened up this journey where your body's going to reveal more and more to you what it needs.
Yeah. Okay. So like everything that we've talked about, it's very clear. Like I need your support for myself and my children as well. So can you just like explain the courses a little bit? Like I just want to know what that looks like. Like what does it look like?
Yeah. Okay. So the first foods course is all about starting solids the gut health way. So you are going to learn week by week what to introduce to your baby and how much and when and why. Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to help you build your baby's gut, which when I say build the baby's gut, I'm talking about building the microbiome. I'm talking about healing and sealing leaky gut, which by the way, by design, babies are born with immature guts. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
like the term leaky because it's kind of pathologic for something that's
Mm-hmm.
naturally occurring in a baby. But breast milk is designed to close the holes of the gut, or really to finish the development of the gut. So they're born
Mm-hmm.
with an immature digestive system. Breast milk is designed to do that. But we need certain microbes in order to do that as well. We need a healthy gut from the mom. Some moms formula feed. And so a lot of times things will come up with symptoms in their baby, and we need to go back and help that gut heal and seal and close like it was meant to. And so that's where the meat stock comes in. That's where the first food plan comes in, with the balancing of the microbes. And we support gentle detox pathways really by something as simple as a bath or a little castor oil or a little bit more of beet kvass, which you learn how to make in the course. So I teach
Okay.
you, how to start solids, how to make the foods, and the really a simple why behind why we're doing this, which I've kind of outlined for you on the podcast as well.
Okay. So when is the ideal time to come into that course, and like have you missed the boat if your baby is too like past this age, too
Yeah, so
old?
I generally say that course is for babies from 4 months old, because formula fed babies can start solids earlier, or if moms want to start learning before their baby starts
Yes.
solids, you can start around 4 months. And then up to 12 months old, it can extend a little bit further if your baby is over 12 months old, has developmental delays, is mostly on formula, doesn't really eat any solids, you're having feeding problems around, like
Mhm.
even with an older baby. But generally speaking, after 12 months, you're pretty much aged out of that course, because it specifically talks about how to start solids. And so I have a lesson in that course right at the beginning. If you found me when your baby's 9 months old, 10 months old, you're having eczema, allergies, digestive issues, and you just like, or your baby like randomly reacted to foods that you didn't expect, you're like, I thought
Mhm.
this was supposed to be healthy. Like, why is my baby reacting to this? So I have a way to adjust the plan if you're within that range, and I teach you
Okay.
exactly what to do if your baby's a little bit
Perfect.
older. Yeah.
Perfect.
And so then beyond that, we move on to mama baby biome. And most people that have, or about half the mothers that are in mama baby biome also have the first food plan. So I designed the courses to be complementary. Mama
Okay.
baby biome is the course for mothers, and it's the course that centers the mother's health as the central engine for vitality. So she is the, energy creator, the health authority in the family. And when mom feels good, that ripples and that mirrors to the children. So what I do when there's older children that have problems, or, symptoms that are expressing, I really want the mom to focus on herself, her replenishment, her own gut healing first. And it also like seamlessly trickles to the children, because that's just
Sure.
natural,
That
right? Your
happens.
mom's
Yeah.
cooking the food, it just helps,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it focuses the mom, because once the mom goes through it her own self, she is going to have so much more knowledge, right? Like there's education, and then when like goes through our inner wisdom, it becomes knowledge, and that
Mm-hmm.
knowledge is so powerful and profound in terms of helping her older children. So Mama Baby Biome is the family gut health course. It's the course that heals the mom first, and then she uses that same protocol to heal the children. And so it supports for eczema, allergies, digestive issues, anxiety, depression, really anything that the gut is connected to, which is everything. And so that course is very comprehensive. It goes deep into the why, cooking videos, tons of cooking videos, recipes, And,
Awesome.
a gradual transition to the protocol, because I never do things too fast. I just always think slow and steady is best. We're trying to make a lifestyle change here. We're not just like quick fix dieting ourselves. We're saying no to diet culture. We're learning about what nourishes the body. And that is what I teach in Mama Baby Biome.
So again, my youngest is about to be 6, but I missed a lot of this information, or I maybe knew it, but I didn't implement it. Are we too young for the core? I mean, is she too old? Have we missed
No,
it? Was this for
perfect.
younger babies?
No, so it's called Mama Baby Biome because because of that connection piece. So Mama Baby Biome is a literal entity. Like you have a shared microbiome with your children, but it's
Mhm.
also a metaphor for, our connection to our children, our power that we have to change the ecosystem at home. The mother baby biome is something that is always ever present. And so I help moms, no matter the age, improve the mother baby biome, which is your connection with your children, your way that you nourish them, and that like co-regulation that's happening
Mhm. Mhm.
with microbes, with nutrients, with love, with connection.
I love that. Well, awesome. Well, this has been such powerful information, and I can't wait to dive into the course. So, where do we find you?
All right, awesome. So Instagram is where I hang out the most. I'm Wild Nutritionist on Instagram. You can find me there. I also am on TikTok, all the social channels. And my website is regenerativeCookingSchool.com. But really, your main source of information is going to come from the gram. And I just have tons of free resources too. So I have free masterclasses, free starting solids guide, free meat stock guide. Everybody should start there and learn how to cook meat stock, which is the foundation. And then you can hop into the courses when you're ready. And I would be so honored to have you.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was so helpful for me personally, and things that I can think of how my own children would benefit, and then professionally, as I'm getting lots of moms who are moving their babies from beyond the breast and bottle to solids. This is a great place to learn good information that's going to support their gut health and obviously longevity. So thank you so much for your time and being on today with me.
Thank you so much. It was really wonderful. I loved the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you.
I hope you found this episode on the feeding solutions helpful. If you would like more information, please follow Sensory Solutions on Facebook or Instagram, or you can always visit our website at www.sensorysolutionsTherapy.com. Thanks so much for joining today, and look forward to seeing you next time.